Did you know that in 2023, approximately 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience some sort of mental health distress, and 1 in 20 have significant mental health disorders? This is a huge number, and we know that the number one diagnosis is anxiety and its related disorders. The first thing I would recommend is identify your anxiety and avoidance cycle. These two go hand in hand, and the reason why people avoid is because it works, it's functional. If avoidance didn't work in the short term, you wouldn't do it. We have anxiety on one side, so we go to avoidance, but here's the kicker. In the end of the day, the avoidance also is going to feed your anxiety. So your solution is kind of feeding the problem. So your attempt to find relief through avoiding is actually one of the things that's sustaining your anxiety symptoms. So the first thing I would say, just identify your anxiety avoidance pattern. The second is use mindfulness. Mindfulness is best engaged when we use our senses. And one of my favorite tools for this is to use your 5 senses to identify what is one thing that I'm seeing right now that's bringing joy. What am I hearing that brings joy? What am I tasting, smelling, and what sort of touch am I experiencing? Anxiety likes us to separate ourselves from the present moment. When we're avoiding, we're not present really with our emotions, nor are we present with the things that make us feel whole. One of the ways that help us feel alive and kick that anxiety avoidance pattern is to say, what are my senses telling me right now? And how am I, what do I need? Another foundational part to anxiety management is learning how to breathe. And this is fascinating because our bodies will intuitively breathe without us being aware of it or intentionally breathing. But when we're able to center ourselves through deep breathing and grounding, we're able to better understand how to help and cope with our anxiety. There's a technique called box breathing. And what this is you're going to inhale through your nose, then you're going to hold at the top of your breath, and then exhale through your mouth, hold, and inhale again. All right, so the key is being able to inhale and hold, and being able to tighten those muscles as you're holding is really, really helpful. The purpose of deep breathing exercises is to create a space between something happens in your life that causes distress and you just have an automatic reaction. What deep breathing does is it creates a space between the stimulus and the response. Or in other words, it's a way for you to say, okay, I'm feeling distressed, let me do some deep breathing. And this helps bring other parts of your brain online to help you make better decisions, but also it's able just to slow you down so your body doesn't become flooded or overstimulated with distress. And so deep breathing is really, really foundational to help you be sort of intentional how you want to respond when you're anxious. When we're anxious, we sometimes perceive things as threatening when they really aren't. And so our previous experiences can be a source of anxiety. We've had, let's say you crammed for a test and you didn't do so hot on it. The next test comes up, I start feeling anxious, and so I avoid. And as I avoid, I sort of cram for the test and I also do bad. So one of the things that can fuel anxiety is our previous experiences with anxiety. In fact, some people experience anxiety at the idea, I'm going to have anxiety in the future. A few things to help stabilize is sleep. We know that sleep helps restore our bodies to sort of perform at an optimal level. When it comes to sort of baseline stabilization, sleep is going to be foundational. Another thing is you got to be mindful of what kind of stimulants are you ingesting. So if you're drinking a lot of caffeine or your medication is stimulant in nature, you got to be mindful, am I taking sort of the right dosage at the right time? A few additional things are going to be isolation. We know the more we isolate, it's a breeding ground for both anxiety and depression. And so when you're feeling anxious, it's okay to talk to someone that has your best interest at heart, to say, well, I'm feeling kind of stressed about this, and to let people into the distress you're experiencing.